The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds.
What's going on, everybody? It's Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. Hey, how's it going, guys? We got some work done this week. I know I took the last couple Wednesdays off, man, but it was kind of worth it. So we got a lot more things that got taken care of. For those of you who watched the other channel, I got my geometry coil, my first one out. I have a second one I'm going to build tomorrow. And I'm going to show everybody how to write the list. I realized that in putting that video together, I showed somebody kind of what the list is, how to use the list, and I didn't show you how to write it. And I'm really going to work on that for you guys. It'll be out tomorrow. We'll be winding a simple coil, simple list, how to write it, things like that. That way people, it should have been probably the first video I did. But I'll make sure that I put it in there so that we can go through the process of geometry coils and exactly how they're built. But we did get the one out, and I'm pretty happy with it. We got the overhead camera working. It's not exactly the definition I'd like it to be in, but it's still there. Yeah, I like the geometry coils. I have a couple of different things to run the circuits. Obviously, we had Ben was doing the circuits before. He's using a Slayer exciter. Gerald had used a modified Slayer exciter as well. But I think the first ones that I'm going to do are going to be a little different. I'm going to go ahead and look at a different inventor for it. And I'm going to pull that up and have videos for it. I just think it's important to get every aspect of what we're doing here and get to the root of it on how we want to build it. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that, and I'll be building circuits this week for it. And then that's going to be the test. I got to get 3 or 4 coils out, and I got to make sure they're different. So, if we do a bipolar coil or a bifilar coil, just one that goes 180 degrees out and smeared. Let's do one that's just natural. Triangles, simple, easy to do. Maybe we'll do a different style of bifilar on there. But I want to do them different because I want to see the different ways they react. And the only way to do that is to show everyone. So we're going to build about 4 coils before we get to the circuits. And then we're going to start doing the circuits on them. And I think, yeah, we're going to get that thing going pretty good. Now, we did the Tesla coil ones. Those are all built, and I tested all of them. They all work. You guys have probably seen the short videos on all of those. I've been putting them out on both channels, guys. I'm really trying to get my other channel up and going so that I can get that one monetized as well so that I can get them both going at the same time. And then that one will primarily focus on the geometry coils. But I'm putting everything I can on there to get the hours up and everything to get past that number. So we got the geometry Tesla coils. You can see the spherical one right behind me. I wanted to explain that a little bit. I think people misunderstand what Tesla coils do and how they work sometimes. You see, the number one coil is basically a bipolar Tesla coil on all of them. It's where you place the primary, which makes it a bipolar, or it makes it a single pole, a monopole. And I think people get screwed up on this. If you take where you put the number one winding and leave something underneath it, that's part of the winding, it's still bipolar. You're still getting two different sides. One side's the weak side, one side's the strong side, but you're still getting two sides. On a bipolar Tesla coil, and no matter if it's spherical, no matter if it's the nut shape, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's just the cylinder. Where you place that number one matters. So if this is your cylinder coil and you place it here and you left this much here on the other side, you're still in bipolar form. If you go beyond that to here, you're in a monopole because all of this is on one side. That means it can only have one direction to it. And it'll always come out north. But people don't realize that. They go in there and they build a Tesla coil and then they wrap it about 2 inches up, which is fine. It'll work properly, but it's technically still a bipolar coil. When you build the monopole, you have to go all the way down to the bottom of the number one winding so that as the magnetic field pinches, it hits there and goes in one direction. That's what makes it monopole. Otherwise, it's bipolar. That's it. In my coils, all of them, the bottom matches the bottom of the number one and number two match. And when you do that, then you get a monopole. I wanted to throw that out there because when you get into spherical Tesla coils, you're going to see, hey, you can do these the same exact way. Will they work on a Slayer exciter? Sure they will. Just remember the same rule as a Tesla coil, not a regular one. Just simply put the number one winding a little bit up on it, just like you would a normal Tesla coil. You run it just like a bipolar and work on a Slayer exciter by using one side as a ground and one side as the high voltage end. Not a problem. Worked great for me. Did a video about it earlier today. So will it work if I put the primary in the center as well? Sure it will. I could take away the ground. But the ZVS won't work properly that way because it's a forced system where it forces the energy into the number two based on the timing of the transistor. But if you use the ZVS, it works perfect. You don't need the ground if you use the ZVS because it's not forcing it. It's based on the magnetic field. The ground is only there to force the energy to go back up. It's used as a cushion. So, yeah, it really depends on what you're trying to do here. If you can get it into a solid ground, you're going to make that voltage increase. If you don't get into a solid ground, the voltage decreases. That's in a ZVS. Absolutely the way it works. So, but in a bipolar, it doesn't matter because it uses the ground. Now, one of the things that I saw in this is we went from a DC system to an AC system in the peanut coil when I put it directly in the center of the coil, the number one winding. And you could tell by the oscilloscope, on a DC signal, you just get the one signal that goes. On an AC signal, you get the one that's big. Then you get a secondary one that builds up to a bigger side, right? One inside the other. And you see that in all AC systems. You'll never find it in a DC system. So by putting the actual primary in the center, what we did was we forced the coil to oscillate back and forth like this. Now let's go back to your power lines, how they told you they worked. We're in AC and they oscillate back and forth just like this, right? Well, then you get to the system and you go, okay, how does it work in putting out energy to get it to go to AC out of your Tesla coil when it's only driven by DC? Because it's oscillating back and forth. Working on the same principle, but it comes out in the coil itself when you have them in a bipolar fashion. Excuse me, bipolar fashion, sorry. Anyway, it makes a big difference when you run your coils and what you're doing. I'll say it that way. What it also means is your AC flyback works on the same principle. The only difference between the coils I'm building right now and a AC flyback is the core that's in them. Remove the core, it becomes a Tesla coil. Put in the core, it becomes a flyback. There's not much of a difference beyond that. It's all just winding and wire. So we get the flux that goes back and forth inside of the magnetic field. The magnetic field is your push for anything. So if we ever go to transfer power from a Tesla coil to conventional power, just understand this. There is no core in there to create a magnetic field to give you the push. You'll have a lot of voltage, you will have no push. So you're going to need to create the push. So after you get through any one of these coils, geometry coils, any Tesla coil, you need a magnetic field built in order to get the push. If no magnetic field's built, you don't get the push. That's the way it works. Now, if you're an AC, you can use a spark gap, and a spark back holds a push to it. You may want to double spark gap it just to make sure, but you could definitely do that. I would suggest, I've been working on a AC flyback in order to pull it down the frequency. Now, you're going to have to put some windings on the other side of it from what they have on the inside of those things. More than the 7 windings you normally do to start it up. You probably need like 14 or 20 on that other side in order to get a high enough magnetic field to give you that. Just so you know, because it'll push back into your coil is what happens, and then it feeds back into your ZVS, causes a problem even though you have AC signal coming out. You'll also feed back into your Slayer exciter if you're using that. So you're going to need a better way to get a higher magnetic field on the other side. Maybe thinner wire, but you need at least 20 turns probably. But then you can convert it back to AC, and then you'll have to use a full bridge rectifier to get it back to DC as well. Then you're going to have to, after the DC, the full bridge rectifier, you're going to have to put a capacitor in there to smooth it out. So yeah, it's a lot of work over there to bring it back to regular voltage. But if you want to pass large distances, you're going to have to get into super high volts. Have I tried coil inside of a coil? Yes, I have. One wire of the coil causes the field to go through the other. When you put coil inside of a coil, I generally do not have them spark over. I usually do not have a problem there. They tend to oscillate together though. And they will pull different fields in what you're expecting. You're going to get a radiation field out of it if you're just using the Tesla coil driver. If you put an AC flyback as a driver for the 2 and start up a Tesla coil next to it, you get a total different voltage. You get a real high AC voltage that comes out of it is what you're going to get. But if you're just asking one inside the other on a regular DC system, not a problem. I have never done it in AC. I don't like using AC a whole lot in here. It's just not my thing. I blow up a lot of drivers because I try to drive them hard right away and they just die on me. Nice. Found the null zone in that plasma with your finger and called it the capacitive effect. Nice. Very cool. I did see the video, by the way. Let's see. Yeah, I did the geometry coil and the peanut already. It's built and it's been running. Let me see. I can pull it up for you right here. So we get it running. You see the plasma going. You see the primary in the center. Watch my oscilloscope. You see it feeding there? That right there, the only way to get it to do that is to be an AC. But as you notice, I just had a DC system primary hook to the center, It has to do with the oscillation back and forth inside the coil that's causing this, because it's acting as two coils, but it's connected in the same system. It's a slosh. It goes back and forth, back and forth. So it gives you the signal, which is an AC signal. You can't get that out of a DC normally on anything except for this coil. Cat walked on the keys. Nice. See, my cat was in the background of this video, jumping up and down, trying to get something. That was funny. I had to edit some of it out, but it was just real cool. Yeah, but this thing was kind of different, man. It's doing different things than what you would conventionally think they should do. I thought it was very interesting that it was able to do that. So let me pull up my other channel here. And what I'll do, let's see. I wanted to pull this up. So right here, guys, what you're seeing is when I do the geometry coil, I give you the pages in order to build this coil. And then you'll see the little pencil lines in between them in each set. At the end of the sets, there's a turn that goes on in the coil. I try to make it as easy as possible in the video, and I try to show you where things go. So they'll be at the bottom bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Will be right here. I'll show you if I can get it. Anyway, the bottom left-hand corner will actually turn as we're doing it, as I wind it. On the right, you're going to see the wind that's going on and what we're actually putting into it. On the left, you're going to see on the very bottom, you'll see that it turn one each time we do a full set. And on the top, you'll have the windings for each set. So there's actually a double winding going on here. So if you went through the first set and you went top and bottom, you can go back through it, and I did a D and C for the next set after that, if you want to go into the bonus round and do that. Also, it's set up in different colors, and you'll see over here on the list, you'll see numbers over there, and they're set up in 24, and you did 12 and 12. Basically, we run different colors so that we know which side we're on, and it makes it really easy in order to learn this to get it right. If you don't have that, it's going to be a mess. So anyway, you wind to the pattern. When it says to turn it, you don't physically turn the form. You make the wire go over one on the next one and then start the form again, which means it'll bring a whole nother number set up, but it'll be the same exact shape you just wound. So this one was set to be, one immediately over the other, which means as soon as you wind one U this way, you wind a second one this way. So hopefully that was understood in there. And that's why I want to do the basic one first and just do triangles on the next one, so I can show everybody how I come up with a list. So it'll make more sense. And we'll probably do a couple of easy ones after that, just going over the rest of the basics that I should have went over before I even got to this winding. So hopefully you guys understand that. I know I kind of jump ahead a little bit, but I should really take my time and redo it because there's not a lot of videos out there on this. I mean, you see one or two videos and they're winding a specialty coil and that's it. They're not teaching you the way to build them, and that's what I set out to do, so that's what I got to do. We're going to go back a little bit, start from the beginning, so that everybody kind of sees what we're doing there and why we do it. And then in testing, what you're going to see is where fields cancel out and why. And if you see the field canceling itself out, then you'll know, oh, well, this is why we did it down the road and changed it. We'll also find out if they're resonating against each other, because a lot of people want to know that. They also want to know, hey, is it just go into one big coil and does it just saturate? I mean, is that what's going on here? I've got a lot of people on that in the Rodin call that they just want the answers and they just want you to put it in there. And as long as you put it in there, I think everybody be happy. You know what I mean? We get the answers. And we're going to do Robert Murray on the coils as far as how to do the circuits because he makes it real simple. Really, really simple. And that's what we're going to do. And it's going to be the Jewel Thief circuit. Everyone's going to do it, even if Joe doesn't like it. We're doing it. And there's a way to change things in a coil that you've probably never seen before. For instance, on your Rodin coil, you've only seen it connected with two phases in it, right? Channel A, channel B. What if I told you I could break every one of those up, put a MOSFET on it, and create a single, how do I want to say this, single layer in each single one of the wires that is a Jewel Thief on every last one of them. So every two is a Jewel Thief in the way that it's set up, and then it continues to amplify, 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 because that's what the transistor's made for. That's a whole new way to understand it, but Robert Murray had it right in the way that he showed it. He also showed you the way to pull out something without a core and pull energy out of it. That's going to be on there. So what I'll do is I'll do the same experiment he did, but I'll leave his original video in the description for you so you can click on it and watch, because I love the way he shows it and the way he does it. And I don't know that I'll be able to do justice to it, but hopefully I will. But I just wanted to show you the engineering with it. Crypto, what's up?
I was just going to add myself. I'm sorry for interrupting. It's just adding the channel. Go live, go live. There we go. All right, I'll let you continue. Ta-ta.
Oh, it's all good, man. So yeah, we're gonna follow all that because, like I said, there's a lot of people doing tests on them, and I think they're doing good work. What we have to do is explain the beginning, though. So that's primarily where we're at. Jewel Thieves, Robert Smith, why he's doing it, the basics of it, guys. These are like, less than 5-10 minute videos that show all this, and that's exactly where we need to go with it because that's where everybody started with it when they went out with it. And I guarantee you he has every circuit that you want for that Jewel Thief. So that's where we're going with it. Simple designs, find out which one works, which one doesn't, and then we'll go through everything because there's a lot of them out there for sale and people do a real good job on them. And then they put, radio frequencies through some of these. And I have a receiver here that we could set up and put the radio frequency through them as well. And we're just going to see what they do. Are they activated in water like our Tesla coils? We do the one wire energy through the Tesla coil. Can we get the same performance out of a geometry coil? I think it's an interesting question. It's one we're going to look at. There's some other ones out there. We're going to keep going on the Rodin coil. The last I left off on that is that we could not run a motor off of it because it had no magnetic field coming out of it. So basically, the simplest way to fix that is take the Rodin coil, put a piece of iron ferrite on the end of it, take one of the channels, run it into the iron ferrite and wrap it, give it a magnetic field around the core that'll saturate inside of it. Then we have enough magnetic push in order to get our amperage out to make the motor run. So that's what we're going to have to do in order to get that to go. I don't care if it putts around. I just care that it moves. That's all I want in the first step. Okay, get me that motor that moves a little bit. We have some Schottky diodes to make it go faster so that we can get it into the full bridge rectifier through the Tesla coil on the speed that it needs to be done at, and it won't slow down on us. We have capacitor banks that'll be set up so that we can run them in there. I like the high voltage caps in the beginning and then level out with a different cap after that. And the reason is because the way the high voltage cap is, it's aluminum and then it's a clear plastic and aluminum clear plastic, and you're building a field out just like that. So it's used to taking the high voltage. Now, after that, you have to drop it back down to regular capacitor so that you can get it to slow down and get into regular caps. What's up, Traveling Fools? You guys are awesome. Love the show, man. Doing that one on Friday. Always look forward to that. Throw a plug out there in a little bit for them. Hey, but in these coils, like I said, we're going to have to look at all of it. And like I said, we started with probably a more aggressive coil than what I should have started with. We'll get back to basics on that for you and get it back to the regular coil. The geometry coils, man, we've been working with Tesla coils for a long time and shooting this stuff off. Let me show you some of the shorts and stuff that we did for this. And they're on the other channel. You guys probably haven't seen a lot of them. Let me put this up here for you. My PMP driver. Take a look at this plasma. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. That's a big tornado, nice, beautiful tornado. Amazing. I have my spherical coil. So you can see what's going on here. I got the spherical coil going. It's going out one side. What you're not seeing is there's another Tesla coil attached to the other end of it. And I pulled the energy right through this, just like I was adding a second Tesla coil. Worked out perfect, man. Thing comes out gorgeous. Love the way it looks at night, by the way. I wish I had better lighting in the room for this, and I'm going to work on that. I started today shooting my shorts in a higher definition because my cell phone likes to get it real fuzzy in the dark. As you can see, I got that cleared up, and it's starting to look a lot better. Getting a little more professionalism on my side, but yeah, we got it cleaned up a little bit on that one. So we'll go back from that. We'll pull out this one right here. And this one right here is basically, Dennis, this is you, man. See the color change? Yeah, that's awesome. You can see it in the reflection on the pad there. You can see the color changing. And what I had to do is that peanut coil was putting out AC. To prove it was AC, I did your test in slow motion. So I took my camera and put it in slow motion. Then I went back in editing and I slowed it down even more. As soon as I did it, it started to come out. Now, it's not as beautiful as yours by any means, okay? Not by any means. But I definitely did get it to work. Well on, everybody. Yeah, we got this thing going, man. Yeah, that's you, man. All the credit in the world, Dennis. That is absolutely your invention there to get that going, brother. But I was able to repeat it, so we're all good to go, man. That's awesome. You don't need as many wraps of wire. That's probably true. Yeah, you're probably right there. But you had to get a spark gap going. I did. You know, the AC, one of the wires is wrapped around the actual light. The other one, and you probably can't see it, is in the far back at the end on the plug, and it's sparking. And that spark gap creates this beautiful color array in here. So just to show you that, I got that going, man. It's on the other channel if you guys want to check it out. Pull that back. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the channel in case you need to. You want to check it out, I'll leave it here in the chat. There you go. There's my other channel. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, people have been asking for this one for a while. They want magnets in here. So what it is going on here is there's still magnetics in going back and forth in the wire. So it likes to push the back and forth to each of them. What am I trying to do here? I need rotational magnets out of a microwave for this. Not the neodymiums that I have. There's too much pressure in them. What I need to do is straighten out the cathodes in here and anodes. I want to make ball lightning in the air. I have the anode cathode. I need a rotational force to pull it off. All I need is that relationship. I need the anode cathode relationship. I need some kind of a rotating magnetic field that's very, very small, but effective in the correct direction. Then I should be able to pull off the ball lightning effect in open air. So that's what I'm looking for here. That's what I'm researching here. It requires something that goes from DC to an AC form. And for those of you who have been watching Sean's test very clearly, there's DC going in. You could clearly see the color of it. And then what you're not realizing probably, as soon as it forms the RAV itself, we're going to an AC system. That's what's kind of tricky about it. Now, I can't explain that to everybody because they're not seeing it the same way I am. I just see energy is changing forms, okay? But it doesn't in the system, and Sean got it to go quicker with a magnet. Now, I'm thinking of putting the anode and cathode straight through the magnet in the center because they're bigger. On these smaller ones, I couldn't do it. They just sparked out. But in the microwave magnets, they're a bit bigger, so I have more leeway. I should be able to give it a rotation as soon as it comes out of the anode and cathode to get it go faster to create the rotation in order to get this thing to spark. If it happens, then I predicted 100% what would go on. It's all the same energy. It's just the condition that you put them in. I mean, you got to remember, your sky is your anode. Your ground is your cathode. That's the way the energy works on the earth, but it also, because it pulses just like that peanut coil does between two hemispheres, up and down, back and forth, it'll create an AC voltage inside of it. That's how lightning strikes over in AC. Knowing that, we know the conditions in order to put this out. We always have a center rotational magnetic field in layers that goes on throughout the earth. That causes our spin. We need to produce the same thing in the experiment. A rotational layer, which in a magnet, and a permanent magnet will create the rotational layer on its own if we do it right, because the energy itself is the one that's going to be rotating, not the magnet. Just remember that it's going to cause the energy itself to rotate in a particular direction. Now we can look at open air plasmoids or open air ball lightning and be done with it. Because some people call it spark gap, some people call it, high voltage, just spiraling. Some people say you got to have a plasmoid exactly in a vacuum chamber like they do it. I think it's all the same energy, and all you're doing is changing the environment. You're just changing the environmental condition. As long as you have certain parameters met, you're going to be able to create these things. And that's generally how high voltage works. It likes to flow in a certain way. And when you do that, then you start to understand it properly. I think a lot of people look at the environmental conditions and judge it based on that. And I could tell you it leads to failure, because you're not going to be able to pull that from one condition to the next condition, to the next condition, and learn your lessons. You're going to think it as one confined condition and label it as such. And you'll never see the fact that it'll transfer to other ones because you're isolated in the system you're in. I don't see things that way. I just see energy flow. So when I see the energy flowing one way or the other, I know how to control it. When I see that, I know the parameters of control that I'll need. This is the first failed test in that whole thing. The one thing that it is doing that you need to look at as it goes back and forth, you see the color change on that? It's going fast, but you see the color change? It's already creating the condition for the RAV, because the other side is still in DC. It's still spraying out plasma the correct way. The other side of it is in a high form of energy in yellow, which is the exact form of the RAV itself. Therefore, we're close. We just don't have the magnetic fields aligned properly at all. Once we can solve that, I think we're going to get a condition in here where it may form. So that's what I'm looking forward to. The RAV creates its own vacuum. We don't need to create a vacuum chamber. That's the whole point. It's the whole point of ball lightning. It creates its own vacuum as soon as it forms, and it forms instantaneously. That's why it works. It creates a null zone in the center of compression of a center force. So in the inside, it could be cold. It could be ice cold in there. It's whatever the condition is of the environment around it of the time is what it's going to pull into the center. Whatever that is, then it's going to form and create a compression layer after it. This is why it's important to understand each layer of it. You have a high voltage layer, you have a magnetic layer, you have a sheath layer. You're also going to have a radiation layer. All of it is in ball lightning. It's structured, organized plasma. And it doesn't have to be plasma in the way that you see it in the RAV where it's super bright. It just has to be organized plasma. It can be spread out a little bit, but it's based on frequency. And the frequencies change just like in this coil right here, because it's bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And because of that, it allows it to form correctly. Yeah. What do you think fusion is? I mean, let's just get to the heart of it. What do you think fusion is? Fusion's layered plasma. You got to think of it outside the confinement zone. They take plasma and all they're doing is confining it with a magnetic field in order to increase the volume of it. They're not realizing that it has a layered structure to it that works on frequency and resonance. And I've shown this in my test before. I use my cap bank and I increase the amount of capacitance. But what am I really doing? I'm amplifying the signal on my oscilloscope. So I'm amplifying the resonance itself. When I amplify the resonance itself, I'm now taking the plasma and growing it. It's growing inside the field that it is, which means it creates pressure on the other zones. It's not allowed to get out of its zone. It's in its own lane going in circles, okay, like a NASCAR race. Okay, it can't get out of that little stadium. It's always in the same stadium as it goes. But I can make it look like a monster truck going through the stadium instead of a little NASCAR. Okay, that's the importance. That's what it's doing. It's increasing that amount, and it's making it have tons of pressure on the outside. Now, there's always gas leakage that goes from one to the next. This is why we're looking at this, because it's all the same effect. It is all the same effect. It just depends on how you see it. If you can't see energy as the same form at all times, and the environment is a condition that changes, you're going to have a very hard time with this. I know a lot of smart people that just can't put their heads around it. They can't see one form to the next because they're not following the energy flow. They're following the design of the system. And the design of the system was there to hold in the energy flow in the beginning. Why? What was it trying to do to the energy flow? What's up, Tim Tron, man? Saw your last video, man. Definitely got over unity over there with him. He's really good at that, man. He's got that mechanical over unity, and I'm starting to understand why that three-phase transformer is a lot like the mechanical one that you guys are building. As a matter of fact, when you build your Tesla Cloud project, take an AC flyback and convert it from high voltage AC, the high voltage potential, back over to a controllable AC with an AC flyback, then cap it and change the how do I want to say, change the geometry of it or change the structure of it with the full bridge rectifier. You might want to look into that. I think I think you're going to have a lot of success there. So that was just I did it on my channel and I converted it over to AC and got a voltage and amperage out of it by using that AC flyback out of the Tesla coil. It's just like they do on the big poles. They put it in this big transformer and it converts it from a very high voltage to a lower voltage but higher amperage. And they did it the exact same way. So anyway, yeah, that whole ball lightning thing, it's going to be very hard for everybody to understand how it works because you're creating fusion. You're basically, when you get into it, you get into a ball lightning. It's the same thing as a plasma, which is the same thing as a RAV, which is the same thing as the sun, which is the same reason that it works in the universe and cosmos. Is you're going to have an effect that comes out from every one of these things that come out of a pulsar. It's going to affect something like an asteroid that already has a magnetic field in it. It's going to start the rotational flow of the plasma, and then that'll build into what is known as the sun. Now, it's getting its energy from other parts of the universe, just so you know that. Everything goes from the center out to every one of them. It's lending its energy to every sun that you see, no matter what kind it is. And then when it's done, it goes all back to the outside field. It goes back in. Then it goes back out and does it again. This is all entanglement. When it goes from another. And it's all controlled by resonance. Resonance frequency controls it all and builds the structure. It's like lanes on a highway. You're not crossing the lanes, though. It's like they have, you know what I mean, concrete on both sides and you're in one lane. That's how this plasma works. Now, can things trickle over a little bit? In a gaseous form, they can. In a plasma form, they cannot. So what you're going to have is, you want to create transmutation, you're going to have to break down some of these sheath barriers. That's the way it works in order to get a different element. They come out differently because the layers themselves are the electron. That's what science has wrong. I truly believe that. The electron is the layer that it comes out in. Each one of the layers have a different one. They form the neutron on it. Okay? Or they form the proton on it. It comes out as an individual ball. That's not the electron. It's the proton. I think it's totally different than what they come out with altogether. I think they see it wrong. And in building the RAV, we've seen it build out. We've seen the center build out as like a 0 point where there's no hot temperature in there at all. The next layer is a plasma layer, and then you'll see this little ball build out on the ring itself. What happens when we change the element? It then builds out a secondary ball on another ring. So every one of those balls builds out on every single ring of that sphere. It changes the geometry and the way that you look at how atoms are built. Now you can see the sheath layer as the layer that seals it up in the end and forms that shell. It doesn't let it out. It just changes everything in how we understand physics. That's why you follow the energy flow, not exactly what they tell you, because they've never seen an atom. They've seen the shell of an atom. They have never seen the inside of an atom. They could try to say that they did. They could put it in their electron microscope, but what is that going to show? It's going to show you the shell. I want to see the shell. I want to see the building. When you build out the RAV, you see the building of layers. You see the building of every single thing that comes out in it. You see the center layer. You see the layer that builds out in it. You start to see the protons built out on the outside. The electron is the shell itself. If we can figure that out, if everybody can see that, then you'll start to see why these things are working. Now look, Bernie came on last week and we had talked about working in water with electrolysis, how he's breaking down everything into its very small particles. Why is that? Now he's only using 5 volts, but he's getting the same chemical process we are in a super high voltage. What is that telling you? The energy didn't change. All you did was bring up the volts and amps and change the frequency. But the energy itself didn't change. The type didn't change. We were still in DC. We didn't change that. We still have the same energy type. We changed the environment. We changed the viscosity of the environment around it. So it has to build a bubble inside of it in order for that plasmoid to form. That's all we did. You see, if you can start to think that way, that, oh my God, we have a very unique structure here, but that's only in that environment. But what happens when we have open air? Well, the viscosity changes in that open air. So therefore, what happens? It grows much bigger and much larger volume and energy. But in water, it can grow smaller. That's it. We just change the environment. Okay. Change the environment again. I want to put this thing and I just want to make high voltage fusion, right? That's not a problem. I put it in there and I put a magnetic field and compress it inside of a zone still. But you're still pressurizing the zone with a bunch of magnetics in order to combine it. Why? Because the outside layer of any plasmoid or RAV is a radioactive magnetic field. That's the quick answer. But it's an impulse field. It is not a pulse field. There's a lot of people out there building it the wrong way. They're building it in the pulse field of hot voltage. Okay? And I say hot and cold because one's a radioactive that's going to kill you right away, and one is not. Okay? You have to learn the difference. But you want to build this thing out with an impulse. It's so much stronger of a field. It's like 10 times stronger than the pulse field ever will be. This is the same thing you're using when Jack Stafardi starts talking about his patent that he took from everybody. Yeah, that's where it came from everybody out there. That wasn't some genius idea from him. Sorry, it wasn't. Okay, I already knew what that field was a year ago because I built it. And yeah, just because you could do math, buddy, doesn't mean that it's all yours. Yeah, anyway, I'll just tell you that field's 100% true, and 100% built out there, 100% be a radiation layer on the outside, because that's the way plasma forms. It follows with a magnetic field on the inside, just like the Earth. Then it goes out to a high voltage field on the outside of that, which we do see in the Earth, which is a high voltage field up in the atmosphere, right? Then we get a zone that actually stops everything, which is a sheath zone. Then we get a magnetic field on the outside filled with radiation, which is the Van Allen belt. Everything builds out just like a planet. It has the same energy form. We just changed the environment. That's all that we did. We changed the environment so that you would understand it, so that you could see it. Doesn't matter if it's this small, the size of the room. It's all the same energy type, just the environment changed. You can manipulate the environment to do whatever you want. You can make it give you thrust in a thruster engine. You could turn around and create it as energy source, pull it out throughout resonance without even going in there and touching the plasma. Just have the same resonance frequency in a coil next to it. It'll pull out the energy automatically and give you the energy in the coil itself. You don't even have to go near the stuff. You don't have to create no steam. You ain't got to create no propeller. You got to create any of that garbage that they do in some of these reactions. All you have to do is pull the resonance. Get it close to a runaway state and pull the resonance. You'll be good to go. People ask me, why do you build a spherical geometry coil as a Tesla coil? Because it's a transformer. If I want to put a RAV in the center of this thing, it's a transformer. At the end of the day, I can make it metal and I can put the wire in there and I can use it as a big giant transformer in order to pull energy straight out of a RAV, which is right out of fusion, into this coil and create massive amounts of energy. I do not need the energy of the sun to make fusion work. I need structured plasma with tons of pressure. And it doesn't have to be pressure from an outside magnetic field. It has to be the pressure of the amplification of the resonance itself. That ratio has to increase. That little line that goes across your oscilloscope like this has to jump off your oscilloscope. Once you have that, you've increased the pressure inside of that zone. Once you increase the pressure inside of that zone, the amount of energy magnifies and increases a ton. They don't have it right in the way they're doing it. That's my opinion. That's the way I've seen the test work. When I flip that cap bank, I could see it. The amount of volume increases, boom, it grows really fast. Okay? Right away. Doesn't mess around. It just doom, 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 doom. As soon as you hit the caps. I don't have enough caps big enough to make this thing that massive. That'll have to change. But it's continually to build and build and build every time I hit a new cap level. Why? Because I'm increasing not so much the capacitance in that way. The capacitance is changing the frequency to get it dialed into the correct frequency of the rev, which allows me to amplify the ratio in there, which amplifies the frequency. The resonance frequency amplifies. It goes right off your oscilloscope and boom, massive amounts of energy come out. You could do it, and they should probably do it between 2 revs, and I've done this. The energy goes like this. Boom. Then it sucks out and boom, 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 boom. Why would you want that versus 1? Think about it. You're creating an environment where the temperature goes down, but the amplification of the energy goes up. Temperature comes because it's consistently doing the same thing again and again and again and again, right? And it's keeping you in one space. But what happens is when you remove it and then pulse it, and we've all seen this in DC systems when you pulse, that it reduces the amount of heat in a system. When you reduce the amount of heat in the system, you reduce the loss. You increase the amount of energy production. So 2 revs is better than 1. You can run it off the same primary system. That's why I tell you, when you put it in there, you can use the anode and cathode as 2 anodes. Instead of an anode and cathode, you can run them as 2 anodes and then just use something as a medium to get in between the two. Could be your little dish, could be your piece of clay. As long as it has a medium in between it, it'll go boom, 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 boom. Just like that. Binaural beats. It'll play all day long. One of the greatest things when you flip the AC is you get binaural beats. It'll start changing the frequency itself. You get the beats. Why do you like the beats? The beats increase the amplification of every single resonance frequency. Look it up. Pull up your chat GPT, whatever you like. It'll tell you the same answer I'm telling you now. You want binaural beats because it increases the amplification of the resonance itself. Therefore, you pull out a ton more energy. Think that's not well understood. Yeah, you can get a runaway when you do it. That's absolutely true. But that's in how you control it. You need to get it high enough. And most people aren't at the level where they're even thinking of amplifying that side. They're trying to just crank up the voltage more. When I crank up the voltage, that little signal there like this goes like this. Yeah, but it's the wrong way to do it. You're creating more heat in the system, is what you're doing. You're forcing heat into the system. The idea is not to force the heat in the system, it's to keep it cooled down. In order to keep it cooled down, you must increase the amplification. Why? Why is it going to work better? Well, the little known thing is it increases the radiation level in your impulse. It makes it a stronger field. Think about that. When we do the anti-gravity experiments, it's the node in the center, but it is the impulse field on the outside that holds everything in. If you increase the volume on the inside of an energy, it must have a higher field to hold it in. Once it has that higher field to hold it in, then you got something. It does not work on a pulse. It'll blow right through it. Blow completely through it in no time. And I think people misunderstand things. When I say gravity well, I'm not talking about for the planet. No one's going to create enough energy to force himself away from a planet. Let's just be honest with each other here, okay? You can create thrust and get away with a rocket. That's not what I'm talking about here. You're not going to create anti-gravity by reducing the weight of something. Inertial mass reduction is a failure as soon as it was written down on a piece of paper. You must create the gravity well inside the bubble. You can only control the local environment inside there for anti-gravity. It's the only way to do it. You must produce your own gravity. It must be a time dilation field. And it must work on impulse on the outside of radiation. Magnetic radiation is what you're going to get. If you can understand that, you can build it. That's the same way all of it's working. All of it. You think it's going to build out different things? Do you think the Earth's going to say, feel like a plasmoid today. Let's change the complete physics to understand this plasmoid. I'm going to build out ball lightning. I'm going to completely change the energy altogether to make out ball lightning. Yeah, I think I'm going to change the physics of exactly how a planet works in order to change the environment. And just create a RAV. Do you really think that's happening? I mean, are we really at that stage where we think that's happening? That we're all of a sudden the planet just decides one day, I'm going to change the complete physics of how energy works in order to make these things? Hell no. They don't give a what you think. It's going to create the same energy every time. The only difference is the environment that it sits in. That's it. The world does not care. It creates one energy type that flips to an AC every time we have lightning, which usually happens when the cloud layer gets down low enough where it starts infecting the ground more, where it can run through the energy of the water droplets itself in structured water to create that anode that's lower in the environment to get closer to the center core, which is the cathode, and create the energy. That's normally where we see ball lightning. It happens in the air because we have, in any rotating magnet, there's fields that goes out just like this. That causes the rotation in the actual plasma itself. It does it in the RAV, it does it in the plasmoid, and it does it in ball lightning. All of them. All of them are the same. It's changing the distance in the sky to the ground. There's an energy layer under the ground that you don't realize is there. We know it has to be there. I'll tell you why. Rotate any magnet. If they tell you it's an iron core and it's rotating and creating a magnetic field, you have to have zones every time you rotate it. It will create a zone right around it's the strongest. Then it'll create another zone, then another zone, another zone. Energy drops off, and so does the magnetism as you go out. So what does that mean? It means that right under your feet, at this probably the same distance it is from you to the sky that it is to you to that field below you, you're going to find another field. What's above is what's below. And that works 100% in energy because of the type it's building out and how magnetism works. You have a field below your feet, and we don't take it into consideration. Lightning does, though. You ever see lightning tendrils come up from the ground to try to meet the lightning in the sky? And then as soon as they come up, boom, they strike over. Well, why? Because you're reducing the distance between them. Why are you reducing the distance between them? Because now you have water droplets. And you have structured water as soon as it goes through it. This energy flows right through water like it's nothing. We've seen that. I put the energy through a burrito, and as long as I have a water content in it, it'll flow right through it. You put it through your orange or apple, whatever, as long as it has a water content to it, it'll go right through it. So what happens when you have water droplets coming down? Boom, 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 right to each one of them. You shorten the distance between the top and the bottom. Boom, it strikes over. Just like a high voltage anode and cathode. It's the same effect. It's the same thing, keeps going on again and again and again and again and again. It's not changing. It is not changing. You may change the structure of the way it looks, but you cannot change the way the energy flows. And you have to remember something too. When you're on a bench, you're in a linear fashion. What do I mean by that? You have no compression. Think about this. Here's your anode, here's your cathode. It's in a linear fashion. Okay? There is no compression in this. But if I took a center spot and I created a sphere around it, I've now created compression from my anode to my cathode center. See what I'm saying? There's a total difference in what's going on here. Anode, cathode, compression. We've already got the compression. Why does it keep building out in the concentric circles or spheres that it does? It's because magnetism builds out that way when you rotate it. Those fields right there gives you your radiation and your magnetism. How do we know we're in a radiant field? It's the only way the Earth heats. It just depends on whether it's bad radiation or good radiation. That's it. We see that in our Tesla coil does the same thing. An impulse zone is good radiation. A pulse zone is very bad radiation. The sun is a pulse zone on the outside. It's pulsing to us. It's bad radiation. Our Earth is an impulse. It has good radiation. Okay? One nourishes your cells. The other one kills you. Think about that. That's a fact. That's how this is working. There's two sides to it. There always is. There's the impulse form, and then there's the pulse form. The pulse form comes from the sun. It adds extra energy to our planet, but it also hurts us. What comes from our Earth nourishes us. We're in that field at all times. I could tell you that for my Tesla coil. There's a lot of things I'd love to tell you about it. I'll just tell you the plant thing. It makes plants grow faster and bigger. Why? It opens up everything in them for the water to flow better. That's it. That's the good kind of radiation. That's the good kind that nourishes things. What's the bad kind? The kind that closes everything down. It closes everything down, collapses vessels, and starts to kill people. That's probably about as much as YouTube will let me say about it, but it's still the effect that's going on here. You don't want to be on the outside of a testicle. You just don't. You get exposed to too much of it, you're going to get hurt. That's why you see me take time in between my experiments and stuff. You don't want to be involved in too much of that. You want to capture the center. You want to capture that impulse. I had a very irritating and long conversation with ChatGPT to get it to understand the difference. Because it still likes to rail on you like everything's the outside of a Tesla coil, just like every physicist I've ever met. But then it does things that they can't explain until that you get to stumble onto the fact that, hey, it's an impulse. And then ChatGPT changes its tune. It shuts up about all the RF and it starts telling you the right answer. Yeah. Anyway, that's my rant for this evening, guys. I'm sorry. I watch all this stuff all week, man, and I'm very intrigued by what Bob Greenyer does, and I love what he does. I wish you could see it the same way I do. He likes to look at every single structure. Like maybe it's just the papers that he reads, and I think that's all it is. But he sees every structure as a confined thing, and then the next thing is a confined structure, and the next thing is a confined structure, never linking the simple understanding of the flow of energy. Maybe that's my opinion of it. Maybe he doesn't see it that way, and I truly hope that he sees the flow of energy. But I love watching the show because nobody goes into it like he does. So shout out to him for that. Does a great job. So, hey guys, I just want to let you know on Fridays we do the Traveling Fools channel, and for those of you who hang out in the chat, man, and have gone over there with me, dude, it's a really fun show. You know, it's kind of, not as much information as we get here as far as technical details, things like that, but it's really fun, man. We go out there and, you know what I mean, just talk, have fun, kind of like we're all sitting around a campfire having a beer, man. It's a really good time. Usually we try to get onto a subject, that's kind of cool, like 3-Eye Atlas. It could be covering UFOs, it could be Bigfoot. And I think this time we're doing TV shows and what they're based on. And I mean that in a horror film way. Maybe I should say horror film. Horror films and what the actual truth is behind them. So that's going to be interesting in itself. I'm sure everybody's got their main focus on this. I'm not into horror films, so it's going to be just a nightmare looking it up, but I'll still do my homework on it. So it says Joe was on with Bob. I have no idea if Joe was or not, to be honest with you. Joe's never spoken with me about being on with Bob. I know 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, Bob came by the show and was talking with us a little bit. We were talking about lighting effects and stuff like that. But that's about it. Bob was really good to our show and said some nice things. So I appreciate that. You like Poe? Edgar Allan Poe? What is it? The Raven? I keep wanting to call it the Crow. Is it? I think it's the Raven. Yeah, that poem. We had to listen to that garbage shoved down our throat, man, for a long time. So, yeah, that's what you get for taking an advanced English class, I guess. Oh, yes, the Raven. There you go. Yeah, he's a great writer. I agree with that. You're a great writer. I just wish we didn't have to study him so much so you could appreciate him some more later on. Yep, tapping at my door. Yeah, I remember that one. I mean, the Simpsons covered that too, man. I remember that episode when I was a kid. They covered that one during one of their Halloween specials with Homer. That was pretty good. Oh man, I had some time to do some music things. I don't know that anybody checked them out. I'm gonna make you suffer a little bit and put you through them. I thought they were pretty cool, man. So let me pull it up and I'll show you. Now I'm no good writer or nothing, guys. I try to find something I like and then I change the words like probably everybody does in their own head. This time I went on the Sunyo and purchased the Pro thing so that I could go on and make these videos and just do it the way I think of the song in my head instead of, you know what I mean? Instead of the way it is. So this is more like Silver Wings, but I always in my head saw it as Angel Wings. Play it here for you.
Angel wings shining with the moonlight, revving engines racing somewhere tonight. They're taking you away and leaving me lonely. Angel wings slowly fading out of sight. Don't leave me, I cry. Don't race that car tonight. But you locked me out of your mind and left me standing here behind. Angel wings shining with the moonlight, revving engines racing somewhere tonight. They're taking you away and leaving me lonely. Angel wings slowly fading out of sight. Taking you away and leaving me lonely. Angel wings slowly fading out of sight. Slowly fading out of sight.
All right, guys, I won't bore you with that no more. It was pretty cool, man. I love that song, Silver Wings. And you know what I mean? I just wanted to kind of get my own version of that out there. And I can't sing with a darn. And oh my God, if you've watched the Christmas special last year, you know I can't sing. It's really bad. But no, it's just something fun to do. You know what I mean? On a Sunday, watch your football. So just wanted to share that with you. So pretty cool, man. Yeah, the other ones I came up with, sometimes, man, my mind just wanders and I should not probably do songs or anything like that, but they make you laugh. So, yeah, you know, I'll play a couple seconds of one and just get a good laugh and we'll stop playing songs. But I get to play them now because, you know, I don't get dinged for it. I love it. Or maybe I might do too. So it's just, oh my God, dude, this is outrageous. Okay. Probably should never replay it again, but I'll let you decide.
Come on, baby, just a little lick. It's white, hot, nasty, waiting to drip. You gotta yum, yum, lick it up, ice cream. Yum, yum, lick it up, ice cream.
I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yum, yum, lick it up, ice cream.
I couldn't get that thing out of my head, man. I just kept hearing that. Every time I saw Biden eating ice cream, man, I started thinking of that. I started thinking, yum, yum, lick it up. You know what I mean? Oh, it's hilarious, man. That guy was constantly eating ice cream. The press's favorite question was, what kind was it? Or, oh, man, that's absolutely awesome. All right. I'm working on an episode of the, I want to say this, of the Star Trek. So we're going to be doing that one. And I came up with a song. I don't know that the lyrics are 100% right on this, but I'm definitely working on it to come out with it. So I wanted to share that. So here we go. I'll share this one.
Give directions
Like a captain,
get lost,
like a captain, like a captain,
blame it on
like a
Joe,
captain, like a captain,
eat spicy chicken wings,
like a captain,
burn my mouth off, agree I will do it again,
cause I'm the captain,
screw up physics,
like a captain,
build some cool shit,
like a captain,
shock my nuts,
like a captain,
cry all night then play it off,
like a captain,
eat some more spicy chicken wings,
like a captain,
throw up on my shirt and lick it off,
like a captain,
make some brown gas,
like a captain,
light it on fire,
like a captain,
burn my ass. Run to the bathroom holding in diarrhea. Burn my ass again while I blast out chicken wings. Say my catchphrase, try it all and find out. Act like it never happened. If Gerald draw directions. Arrive at Planet Double D and smile. Ask Mike to give Ben new directions. Find out there are 3 holes. Go to all 3 and party on. Look for Joe Strange, rock and find some mushrooms. And decide we should eat them. Like a captain. Lose our minds. Like a captain. Like a captain. Name the planet Uranus. Like a captain. Take some home. Like a captain. Get bitched out by Admiral Jack, then eat more mushrooms because. Like a captain.
Oh my god, dude. That's like outrageous, isn't it? Oh man, I'm working on the art for it. Let me know what you guys think, man. That sounds pretty cool though. I love that Sunyo, man. I don't have to sing the lyrics or nothing. So that's pretty cool. Doing Star Trek, man, you gotta have something cool. Yeah. Oh man. Love it. Love it. Judgment Night movie. Slayer Ice-T. Nice. Yeah, I'd love to play some of their music, man. They unfortunately don't let us do that on YouTube, so we have to come up with our own. So, Helmet House of Pain. Yeah, there's quite a few of them I like out there. So if I could, man, I'd just throw them all down. You know what I mean, one after the next, and just be a DJ for the day. But they don't allow that here. Nice, thank you. Thank you. So, I didn't know if I should go with Captain or Boss on that, man. Yeah. Nice. I figure Captain would be awesome, man. I'll do some cool, funky stuff, man. Showing some artwork on there. That should be fun, man. Music is your mistress? Nice. Love it. Yeah, Captain. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, man. I guess we'll get back to talking to some physics and stuff. So now we had a little break from everything. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to that anti-gravity thing that they don't tell you. And I'll just be honest with you. When you create a gravity well, you have to create constant compression and decompression inside of it. And it has to do with the voltage and stuff like that. So the energy itself is one thing, but a lot of people don't realize how the environment actually works. It compresses and decompresses at all times and continuously around the entire earth. So yeah, it's one of those things that Jack didn't write in his paper because he probably didn't know anything about it, but it's always there. And it's without it, you don't have anti-gravity. You just have a shell, which the shell is good, but it doesn't do any good without the other part. The other part is the compression of the null zone in the center. That's why I'm going to tell you the RAV builds out with a 0 point in the center, or just a compressed field. Well, what are you trying to do to get more energy? Well, you're trying to compress and decompress that to bring out the volume of energy, because the sheaf zones actually do have leakage that goes through them, which is like gas. But that also means that it's pulling it in as well. So as much as you think it's pushing it out, it's pulling it in more. So it's like filling up a balloon with constant things. And when I say energy, I'm not just talking voltage. It's gas. You're compressing gas mainly. You compress gas, it becomes energy, it becomes voltage, it becomes the wind, it becomes everything. It is more of everything out there than just one thing. It would be ignorant to say it's one thing if it's just voltage, because it wouldn't be correct. Everything's based on creating something from something else. This is why transmutation is so important. To understand transmutation is to understand why you're getting energy from different sources and why it can never be created or destroyed, because it's a continuation of mutation that goes on between each time it forms in every layer of our planet. Think about that. In order for it to convert That means that it's going to take things that are solid like rocks and convert them in transmutation. It's going to take a crystal and convert it in transmutation. We see this all the time. Different metals go over to other metals in transmutation. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to get the barriers out of your mind. Metal, gas, liquid, all of it, transmutation. If I wanted to take water and break it down to gaseous states, I ionize it, because then it's ready to go into the transmutation. I need white hot energy plasma to transmutate. I need structured plasma in fields to put it back together. Now think about what I just said right there. I want to take hot energy and break this thing apart. I want to take cold energy and put it back together. That's transmutation, but it must form between the gas and plasma state. That's where it happens. That's where transmutation mutates. Gaseous state is broken everything apart. It's down to its basic elements. That means that anything that's in that form now is in its very basic form. Now we can reform it. That's why the planet works in two different sizes. One goes in, one goes out. One's the hot energy, one is the cold energy. Okay, one puts it back together. It works from the center out. You say, well, how's that? Have you ever noticed that every time you go to look for ancient cities, you have to dig? Now think about this. They tell you that, it's one city built upon another, upon another, upon another, but is it really working that way? You see, we're adding layers to our Earth every year. Now they'll be minuscule every year, but they add up. It's like collecting pennies. They continue to add up. You're adding more mass. Why? Because you're collecting it from other sources. You're not just collecting it from the Earth itself. You got to remember that. Energy comes in from the sun and the environment. It doesn't obey the same law that you would give it. It's pulling in energy from all sources. When I tell you the sun's radiation hits it, it's pulling that energy into the Earth. Well, what else is out there? What else is in space? There's a little bit of water in space. There's a little bit of gas in space. All those things are out there. They're just minuscule numbers. But what happens when you pull them in? They come into the Earth. All of them. You now have the ability to create more mass. Things will grow. Here's what throws scientists off. And I watch this and I try to share this with people. When you get to Jupiter and stuff like that, they don't have an iron core. They have a gaseous core. And you say, well, how did you make the understanding of what they have? Well, they basically put a satellite out there and they mapped this whole thing and they found out it's gaseous and that it's not exactly as formed as they'd like it to be, that it's a little more flux like this, which would make a lot of sense based on the amount of gravity that it has. But when every time we talk about gravity, in as far as anybody on Earth or any physicists, they tell you about the mass. Jupiter has more gravity than the Earth. Nobody can dispute that. But there is no mass to Jupiter. Not in rock, iron, or any kind of formed stuff. It's in gas. It is compressed gas that gives it its mass. Think about that. Saturn works in the same way. Much higher gravitational fields in compressed gas. Not the mass. Not what we consider mass. Not what you consider the dirt. The you know what I mean? A bunch of volcanic stuff. Whatever you want to say, the water. All of those things are not it. Now, I agree with you, Bernie. It's most likely plasma, but there are gaseous layers. Gaseous layers turn into plasma layers They just need the right circumstance. Just understand this. The transmutation happens between the gas and plasma layers. Is there plasma there? I probably could guarantee there is, because that's where the transmutation happens. But that's also where they don't have the structure to hold in the gravity that we do. We have a higher form of holding it in because we have more mass, because we have the dirt, we have all this stuff. We have an easier way to hold it in. They must produce more that goes out. They have nothing to hold it in, so it's blasted way out. Once you understand that, anti-gravity becomes a little easier to understand. You do not need mass in the way they describe it in physics. You need mass of a form, yes. Do you need mass in the form of metal, dirt, things like that? No. Do you need it in plasma, energy, gaseous states? Yes. Just understand that you're going to have a higher form of gravity. Why does that work in an impulse versus a pulse? Let's think about this for a minute. An impulse is a stronger form of a field. It puts off cold radiation. Therefore, we don't need the higher amount of energy and positive energy to fill it up. We can fill it up faster, bigger, and stronger with cold energy because we can keep the temperature down and not have hysteresis everywhere and get rid of the energy. We're holding in the energy because the environment around us is plenty warm enough. It creates a barrier. That barrier holds in our impulse inside Earth's environment better. Sorry, those are the facts. Do you need a bunch of hot energy out there in radiation form like they say? No. If you stop calculating the Earth, the size of the Earth, and all those things, and you get down to creating a bubble, a 2-foot bubble, how much energy do you need for a 2-foot bubble? That's it, 2-foot sphere. Okay, that's your radius. Now figure out the math. That's all you need. You don't need any more. That's the misunderstanding of anti-gravity. You're going to create layers inside of energy gas is what you're going to do, and you're going to get a break from gravity because you've created your own. But the only way to do that is to pulse the null zone in the center. Now, I've showed it in Tesla coils where you get the null zone. But what you're not seeing and probably don't understand is when you put the wire or rod down the center, it's giving you that null zone wherever you put it, but it always goes to the center of any disc. So what does that mean? If I connect a flat plate to it, it'll go to the center of that flat plate. That's where that zone is going to be. How do we know? I took my gravity fly out, it has a disc on it, and we ran high voltage. Where did it go? Right back to the center. Put it on the bottom. Where did it go? Right back to the center. Why? That's where my Tesla coil null zone is. Now, we're going to change geometry, so don't get all screwed up now. We had a flat plate, circular, okay? Center of it is the null zone. Now I got a cylinder. Where's my null zone? Right in the center. Right in the center of the cylinder. If I create a spherical Tesla coil, where's my null zone? Right in the center. You hear what I'm saying? You start to see these things. You start to understand them. You should be able to switch geometry at will and still be able to see the same thing because it's the same way it's building out. It's the same way I'm trying to tell you about energy. When you pulse that zone, what are you doing? You're allowing energy and gas to pull in past the sheath zone into the structure itself. Now you have more energy. Now you have more compression. Once you have more compression inside of it, now your volume of the inside of that has more energy in it. Now that outside field automatically has more energy. Automatically, because it must contain it. That's why you use an impulse, not a pulse. Must contain it, must keep the environment where you can pull in what you want, but not push it out. Now all you got to do is work out which direction you want to go into. You got to go into vector direction. What does that basically mean? It means the energy must flow in one direction inside of there. It's in spherical form. Okay? It must be pushed to one side. Does that mean that you could just basically put a little rod over there? No. It must be thrust in one direction. Think about it this way. If you're sitting inside of a bubble or a balloon and you want the balloon to move and you have snowballs inside, you throw the snowballs at one side, right? You're creating a forceful energy in one direction. That way it gives you the ability to move in that direction. Because you already broke gravity with the bubble and you created your own bubble, now inertia is less or gone. How do we know this? B-2 bomber. Energy's put on the outside of it, the whole thing. What does it do? It goes through Mach much faster. Why? Why would that make sense? We're going through a high voltage field of energy in the upper atmosphere. As long as we know that, if we match the energy, we do not create a zone between it. We go through it easily. This is the Tesla turbine, if you can really understand what it truly is. Same effect, same thing going on. You're not building up a barrier in front of your plane because you're not creating a pressure zone in front of it. Everything has energy, and energy will create a pressure zone. How do you get rid of the pressure zone? You flow it right past you before you start to go into it. Think about that. You draw it in and blow it past you. Draw it in and blow it past you much faster than it can create the zone in front of you. Boom. Tesla turbine, same effect. Why did it blow up on Tesla? Because it would go into Mach on aluminum, and aluminum would shred in Mach. That's why. In order to run that thing, you had to run some type of titanium or something that had an outside, which if he had graphene, he would have loved it. That thing would have taken that energy and let it flow. It wouldn't allow it to build up and destroy something. As soon as it builds up, it creates heat. Heat destroys the aluminum. Okay? That could be in the eddy currents. It could just be, how fast it's going. Heat destroyed it. How do you get around that? You create the energy that flows with it on the outside. Boom, goes right through it. It pulls it into Mach. Okay? It's the energy's pulling into it. It's not the other way. We're not going to a barrier. Okay? The energy's pulling into it. Much different understanding. We already know that it works. Vector direction works. Pretty simple. You get anti-gravity, you create a field bubble, you create a gravitational field inside. Vector direction. When you know this, you know that they're reading T.T. Brown all wrong. T.T. Brown was a simple understanding of an experiment. And people get screwed up because they think ion wind. Ion wind is the wrong way to see that completely. You take in an anode and cathode effect. He's trying to create vector direction inside of it. You're trying to create wind. Total different understandings of the same thing. You're creating wind to create an effect. He's not. He's just not. Byfield-Brown effect. Not creating wind. It's creating vector direction. It's moving energy towards one way. it is not creating a bunch of wind. You could see it when you take a lifter and lift a whole lot of weight with it. It doesn't work on the ion wind principle because the mass is more than the wind can create. There's not enough thrust in that wind to create enough in the Earth's environment to change that. But vector direction is. Why? Because it's taking the Earth's atmosphere around us and converting it into a field bubble. That's why. People who look at the experiment, and I've seen a ton of them, make ion wind, and it's all screwed up. All of it's screwed up. They're not looking for the right thing. They don't know how to look for it. They didn't understand the lesson of anode and cathode in a 360-degree sphere, and where the anode's at the center and the cathode's on the outside. Or anode on the outside and cathode on the inside. Either one would work fine because they're basically the same thing when it comes down to balancing how it works. They didn't learn that lesson, so where they didn't learn that lesson, so now they create an ion wind. It's a failure. The Byfield-Brown effect is like a static electricity, which is just high voltage potential. Magnetic, which is right. The third one is your radiation. It's not gravitational, it's radiation. Now, can you say gravitation and radiation are close to the same? Yeah. Yeah, you can, but gravitation's the wrong word. It gives you a false understanding of something you don't understand yet. You understand radiation just fine. You do not understand gravitation just fine. Gravitation is the result of all three forces working inside of a field. Working inside of a bubble. That's what it is. It's that bubble effect that screws things up because they do geometry in there. And as soon as you get the volume of a sphere, it's much different. So, yeah, and they're all characteristics. I could tell you right now that what that bubble does. We know it holds in and puts out energy. It also puts out radiation, which will saturate all your MOSFETs and all your cars and everything, which means all the power will shut off in your vehicle right away, but will not be allowed to come back. That's different than an EMP, where an EMP just blows it all out completely and fries circuits, where it's a complete overload. This is not. This is basically a turn it off for a little while, and it'll turn back on. That's what radiation does to your circuits. That's why when you hear the thing, oh, the UFO was over the missile silo, and it started turning things on. Unprotected MOSFETs and transistors will do that in this field. That is 100% fact. And it has to do with the way the radiation is manipulated inside of them because it makes it saturate. It's different than the way science does it because science keeps telling you about electrons and holes and things like that. And it's not the way everything works. Everything works on fields, energy, and it works on compression of those factors. It's not working on electrons like they say. They can't even prove an electron exists. I think electrons exist around the atom, but in a totally different way. So there's a lot to be learned there, but that same effect happens all the time. You can prove it at any time you want to. Take a rotational magnetic field and do it, put some high voltage on it, and then basically start up your Tesla coil, put the rod down the center of it, put it on the outside of that thing somewhere on a piece of some metal that goes around it, and you'll hold it in. That's as easy as it gets. Not hard at all. Simple experiment, and it'll prove me right. Switch the two where the wires connect. So it's a high voltage with the Tesla coil, and it'll blow it across your room and blast out everything in your room and turn everything off. It'll change all the stations on your TV. It'll change everything on your computer. It'll start things up. It'll go through all your passwords. You don't need someone to pick your passwords. It'll just go right through it. Because remember, it's all based on ones and zeros. To it has no lock. It has no lock. when you're bypassing all of the software and going straight to the hardware and mechanically changing it, it has no lock. You will not be able to protect your stuff from this. The only way to do it is to cover things over so the energy doesn't get through to it. Sad to say it, but that's the truth. And the energy goes along with other UFO things that you see out there, the blur. Let me tell you about something. I went to Courtney Sandwich's, a 9-foot Tesla claw, and we were doing it outside of his house. And we put a couple different tops on there that were metal, and they were striking off onto the house over to his TV line, which is hilarious, by the way. Absolutely awesome time over there. But there was a phenomenon when he put on a exercise ball and cover it in aluminum foil, and then he put it on top of his Tesla coil. Just understand the environment that was just created. You have air in there, which is compressed gas, inside of an exercise bubble with aluminum on the outside, aluminum foil, which creates an energy barrier. You have now created a condition to be able to put a field bubble in place. What happened? The outside of the bubble itself, the outside of that aluminum foil, became real fuzzy. It's the same effect of what you get when you see smoke in the air and you get blurry. That same effect went around the entire top of it. Anytime the voltage wanted to leave it, it structured the air and the voltage went right through it. Think about that. It structured the air around it, all the way around it. And then when it wanted to shoot one direction, it now structured it just like it was structuring water. Formed a path, voltage went through the center of the path. When you see something like that, you have to understand what you're looking at. You've created a field bubble. You created the shimmer. You created the whole thing of the UFO. Now, this thing doesn't have as much power as a UFO, obviously, but it's that structure that you're creating. It's creating that blurry look that we always get. What you can't see it. It's blurry. Why? For this very reason. They're compressing gas on the inside. Now you know when you see the blurry. Why is that important that it was structuring the field for the voltage before the voltage went? Because in order to move through from one space to another, you must construct the field to get from one area to the next. If your UFO is going through there to defy gravity to get there with no inertia, that field must be created and allow for that lightning to go through it, or it'll allow for your craft to go through it, just like a wormhole would. And it allows it to flow right through to the other side. It's so important to understand that. I'm so glad we got to see it. It's absolutely amazing. But it tells you the same thing it does in water. Why doesn't it matter for a UFO to go into water in the air? Think about the effect I just described. If you're creating a pathway for it to go, does it matter if it's air or water? Think about it. It's just viscosity to it. It doesn't care that it's water or air. It's creating a structure for it to go through. To it, neither one matters. Neither one matters. It's going to go through the water as fast as it goes through the air. It doesn't matter. It's already created the structure through it to get to the next area. That's why seeing something like that is so important, and you should really recognize it when it happens. The compressed gas created a state of the energy where it blurred just like a UFO, created the structure for it to go from one side to the next, and boom, you got it. Perfect. Perfect. It's so odd that all these things, when you break them down and you know what to look for, they're all there in the UFO effects. All of them. I didn't have to go to an alien and find this out. I didn't have to go to, whatever lake over there in Nevada to find this out. I didn't have to go see some of these so-called experts to find it out. I didn't have to go to any single one of these people who keep telling you about this disclosure garbage because they don't know shit. They don't even know the effects of how it works. They don't even know what to look for. I don't have to talk to any of them. I just have to recognize what's going on and see things the way they are. Energy flows in a certain way. When you can find it, it flows in a certain way. It is a normal behavior for all of it. Resonance is one of the key structures of this energy of this earth. If you do not have it in your system, when you go to create the things that we do, we have issues with energy production. In all of your coils and everything that you want to do, you're going to have a problem. Anyway, that's why I teach this stuff, guys. That's why I try to tell you guys what it is so you know what to look for. You can see it. You can create it. So after you watch this, you miss the good stuff. Well, yeah, except for in the middle where I play music. So, yeah, but there's so much more here, guys. There's just so much. I keep telling you about the energy being the same. It's not going to change. We're in a DC-like field inside the Earth. We're in an enclosed environment. But we get energy from the outside of our Earth that comes from the sun that allows us to gain energy. Also from the outside of the Earth itself, it'll pull in energy from there. The actual Earth itself is an over unity system. It's a DC-based system that has a component that pulls all the environment in. Everything physics tell you is all about the closed system. They never tell you about the open portion of the system. Well, that's why we do the geometry coils and all this to understand the importance of that system. That's the basis of why. I've had a lot of people out there tell me, well, I don't know what these coils do. They don't work. What? I don't know. You ever built one? You know anything about it? Because I could tell you they do. Because they're doing the right things. Yeah. When we do this, man, I just want you to know this. No matter what science comes out, it's all about energy flow. I see a lot of people quoting physics. I can tell you something about physics that they don't like to tell you. They love to compartmentalize things and name them different things to confuse you. They do it all the time. There's no getting around it. They change the environment and they say, oh my God, it's something new. I must change the name. And then they go, okay, let's do this again. We changed the environment. We didn't change the energy, but let's call it something different again. And you go over to them in a lab and you say, okay, reproduce it, please. They're going to pull out the same high voltage equipment to do it. They're going to pull out the same grounding features they used before. They're going to use every single component in their lasers that they did the last time. And you're sitting here wondering, going, it's all the same goddamn thing. You're not changing the energy. You're changing the environment. That's all you're doing. You go from one thing to the next to the next. You haven't learned how to resonate a crystal yet. Why there's so much more energy in there? Joe barely hit the surface of it when he started doing his Tesla coil with it. If he was at resonance, man, that thing would have never shut down. You saw the light coming out in every direction. Why? It's a prism. In a prism, light goes through everything. when light goes through everything, just understand this. You have a magnetic field, you have a voltage field, you have a frequency in there, but a frequency that's mirrored upon each other, upon each other, upon each other, upon each other. So what does it do? It continues to resonate inside of it, and then it creates a huge mass of energy. It's absolutely true. But it's not hot when it breaks apart. Why? You saw the crystal explode. Why is it not hot? All it did was run it at the wrong frequency and it exploded. Run it at the right frequency, it doesn't explode and it continues to give you energy. There's a difference there. And once you learn that a crystal, when you put it in water, has a frequency because it has a voltage field, it has a magnetic field, all these things are present. Some people can feel them without putting in water. Some people can't. That's a fact. If you're sensitive to fields, you're going to be able to feel everything. If you're like me and not sensitive to fields, you're not going to feel anything. That's how it works. But then you take me and you put this stuff in, you put the crystal in water, I can recognize that as a frequency right away. Anytime the energy is given off, it has a frequency. Every time. You can't have one without the other. You're going to have a magnetic field. You're going to have a voltage field. You're going to have energy that goes through the whole thing, and you're going to have frequency. And it's going to have a layer outside that's a mild radiation field in order to hold everything in. Every last one of them is going to do it. That's how energy is built. You think it holds in by itself? Think about it. You got energy goes around a wire. You think it holds in by itself? Nope. There's got to be a field out there. There's got to be that field that stops it. What's up, Sean? Sean's doing great work, by the way. He's creating RAVs and stuff. He's got some top secret stuff he's working on. Really cool. Shared it with us. Love it. Can't say anything more about it, but love the work that he's doing. He's progressing in that, and hopefully Joe and I on Friday will be able to talk about more of this stuff with the RAV. That's kind of the plan. I am going to get in my cord today. I'll tell you now that I was completely frustrated the other day, and I was cursing at the fact that it came with European plugs. And don't get me wrong, Sean told me up front it did, but I didn't think ahead and order the correct plug. So I had to wait another day and a half to get this thing fired up. So the good thing is before the Friday, which we're going to be able to make and share new RAV videos and things like that. And hopefully we'll have a lot of cool stuff. He's trying to get his RAV to fly. Sean, so am I. So am I. It's like a race to the top, man. Oh, man, I love it. I love it. Well, I'm getting close myself, Sean. I don't have the right magnets. As soon as I get the right magnets in, man, it's on. Oh, man. You can if you plugged it into your software, huh? Software ain't going to help this one, buddy. Nope, not going to help this one. I love it, though. I think there's a very unique way this is going to work out, and we're going to learn everything there is to learn about the entire planetary structure, man, when we're done. That's what I love about this. So the more people that work on this stuff, the merrier, man, the better it is. We're getting there. Nice. You got 2 microwave magnets there. That's what you need. You can't over rotate this stuff or try to put it into a heavy magnetic field because you'll never get the rotation out of it. It'll pinch it. You'll get a Tesla spark gap pinch instead of a rotation, which you're looking for. Yeah, Sean, I don't think you ever lose in anything. Let's all just say this out here. Sean's a genius. Sean doesn't lose in anything. Sean usually has it before we do. He just doesn't say it right away. You got the CAD 3D printing meta materials for the Gravity Flyer. Very nice. Oh man, microwave magnetrons are awesome. Just they go sideways when they come out, so watch your eyeballs. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. I think I'm looking more for the ball lightning just to prove a point, and I think Sean is as well. I just kind of want to shut up everybody. You know, I mean, not in a bad way, but in a, hey, I told you so, that it's all the same thing. And it all depends on the outside environment that you create for it, which I know it does. So, anyway, guys, we're going to be on the Traveling Fool show on Friday. Really cool show, guys. You can check it out. Have some fun out there, man, with us. We all enjoy ourselves over there, and everybody in the chat really has a great time over there. They also do a game night where you go on there and, how do I say it? Trivia. A lot of trivia. I suck at trivia. I put on my hearing aids last time. I was able to hear it and play. Got a lot better at my score, but I still suck at trivia. So we do that on another night over there, or I should say they do, and I like to watch and play in the chat and have fun and, you know, talk some BS. But anyway, that's what's going on there. I do not think we're going to be doing a Wednesday show unless Sean's able to get up here and be with us on Wednesday. I'll have to discuss what that with him if he's feeling up to it. If not, then we'll skip it, and then we'll get to Friday where we deal with the Rav and Joe. To be honest with you, I'd love to have the conversation with Sean, Joe, and myself on that Friday. That would be totally awesome if it's at all available, because it's always fun when we get together. So, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on, guys. For everything else, when we go to the other channel tomorrow, probably later at night, I'm going to be putting up the second winding video, and we're going to go over the basics on how to actually write down all the number systems and how to do that. And then on this channel, I'm going to continue with the Tesla coils as well. I put some stuff in the private members thing. I also put some on the other channel because I'm trying to get the other channel up and put as much stuff out there as I can. On this channel, I'm going to start working on a whole nother project as well. I have a very long Tesla coil that I think I'm just going to roll out, man, for you guys to look at. And I'm trying to get primaries on it and see if we can't keep pushing the energy all the way down the side of it, see how it works, how it functions. And I'm just going to call it a resonance key when I do it. And I think it's going to be key to understanding resonance and then how the binary beats and everything work. I did create a beat frequency, by the way. When I put that peanut coil in AC, I got the beat frequency in the light. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, we got some good stuff coming up, guys. I'm working on it. I'm doing as much as I possibly can, as fast as I can, to get some of this stuff done. And like I said, I'm just going to push until I can't push it no more. Yeah, I did a lot of resin work, man. Did a lot of things. Sean says his health's been up and down, but no hospital visits. Thank you. Right on. That's cool, man. Yeah, anyway, that's what's going on, guys. And, you know, I'll probably see you guys on Friday. And we'll build some more stuff, man. I plan on putting out a lot of videos here soon because I want to combine some things I've been doing. And didn't want to put some of it out prematurely before I was ready. So, with that said, man, I want to thank everybody here for watching today, man. Really do appreciate it, Sean. Love that you're doing better out there, man. Get well soon, man. And with that said, have yourselves a great night, man. Thank you.
The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds.
The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, and battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.